can't get cherry soda, 'cause they've got to fill that quota. And the way things are, I'll bet they never will. They've got a zillion tons of coffee in Brazil. No tea.
I've had way too much coffee so far. Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm busting a move. Yeah, I'm going to bust a hip if I don't watch myself here. So, hey, glad to be back in the studio again. Man, I've been traveling again. Just got back from wild Waco. Any Waco people in the room say hey, y'all. Had a definition of hey, y'all, too. So, y'all is a lot of people. Y'all is just a few people. Anyway, yeah, happy to be back from Waco. Happy to be, hey, y'all, yeah. Give me some love this morning. So if you've had your coffee, if you're having your coffee right now, give me a 1. Yeah, give me a 1 and give me some hearts. Enjoyed Waco. Who's that? Oh, yeah, hey, Michael Fraser. Hey, thanks for joining in. Nice to meet you. Thank you for driving. What'd you say? You drove like 4 hours to come and see me? Nah, you came that far to see Freevault and Kaler, I think. Yeah? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Yeah, we had a great time in Waco. I got my man card back, so that's why I'm wearing my Carhartt today because I'm still trying to own on to my man card. Yeah, dope you. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. So hey, you guys got to see this. I was just flipping through here, and hang on, where's this at? So Heather down there, who helped set up a little hunting trip for us. Look at that. Look at that sexy beast. Yeah, I can't remember last time I touched a rifle. So yeah, a little scary. Anyway, had a good time. Had a great time. So we went down to Waco, went down to Texas. First we hit Amarillo and hit up Craig Stidham down there, and went out and did a little model shoot out in the desert canyon. So that was awesome. Who's that? Molite Octobox. Oh, yeah, sorry, you picked up an Octobox. Man, I tell you what, no lie, it's the only reason why I sell this stuff. This stuff is awesome. Awesome. I only sell awesome. I only relate to awesome. So thanks, I appreciate that. But anyway, we're out in the canyon and photographing models out there. And, yeah, we always get some trolls in here. Excuse that. Photographing some models out in the canyon, man, and watching out for snakes. Found out that folks in Texas say you have all 4 types of poisonous snakes. Craig told us when we got down there, too, that the black widow spiders might be out. I'm like, what the? Everything in Texas can kill you. What the hell? I thought it was bad up here in Wisconsin. I mean, the only thing that can kill us up here is weather and drunk drivers. So and banana spiders. Oh yeah, nobody told us about those. Told us roadrunners could kill us too. No, I'm kidding. Evidently, roadrunners eat rattlesnakes. Tough ass. So. Had a great time shooting models out in the canyon. I'll be posting some stuff on that sometime soon. And then went to do some wild boar hunting, which is crazy. Then taught a workshop in Waco with Dan Freevault and Carl Kaler, who we went down on this old man trip. And then went out and caught some striper bass. So I'll tell you what, I've never had striper bass before, but man, this stuff is good. Anyway. So I'm just giving people a little bit of time to get into the room here, and then we're going to talk about our main topic today, and that is how to do some cool edits right in Lightroom. So why don't you guys do me a favor and share this out there, because I think if you've got some friends that work in Lightroom, need some tips, just swipe right if you're on iPhone, and swipe up if you're on Android, and you can share this broadcast. We'll be on replay again for 24 hours, and we'll also put this onto michaelmowbray.com later this week. So, yeah, appreciate it. I see a bunch of shares coming up. I appreciate that. Yeah, striped bass, awesome, man. Jeez, I did a little pan frying with a little made my own Cajun spice. Ooh, that stuff is good. Kind of wish we would have had a bigger limit, but we filled our limit, and we were done with our limit by noon and got to go back in. So, anywho, what else we want to talk about? Well, let's talk a little bit about working in Lightroom. So how many of you guys work in Lightroom? Give me a 1 if you work in Lightroom, if you use Lightroom as like your main processor. So give me a 1 if you got it. I'm looking for 1s. There's a 1, all right. Camera woman's giving me a 1. Fraser's giving me 3 1s, so he's using it a lot. All right. Anybody else using Lightroom out there? Yeah, and Photoshop. Yeah, well, Photoshop, it's kind of a given. But one of the things I want to talk about today is how to keep as much as possible in Lightroom to kind of make your workflow go a little smoother. I use a lot of Photoshop, but I use a lot of Photoshop, and that's at the end of the process. That's when people are doing, people have placed their order. I'm using Photoshop to finish things off, but I like to keep everything in Lightroom as long as I can because it's just quicker. So I don't like to ping pong back and forth. I know some people do stuff in Lightroom, take it to Photoshop, take it back to Lightroom. Not a big fan of that because I think it just slows things down. So there are things that you can only do in Photoshop that Photoshop's great for. And thanks for the hearts. And then things that Lightroom is great for. So what I'm trying to show you is a few things that I use in my workflow to help make me a little faster in Lightroom, help give me a chance to do some cooler edits in Lightroom before I even think about taking things to Photoshop. So without further ado, bear with me. I'm going to try to flip the camera over here, and we're going to look a little bit on the laptop as I work on a couple of images. So hang on. Trust me, the sound effects help. That's kind of good. I should slow down a little bit further too, so you can see a little bit better. And I'm going to work a little big on this too, so you guys can kind of see what's going on. Get myself all situated here. All right. Woo! One thing that's a nice side effect of this road trip is having to get up early all the time for teaching in Waco, going fishing, going hunting, all that kind of stuff is. My body's tuned to be getting up early, so I've been getting up at like 6 lately, and I am not a morning person, but you know what? For you morning people, man, you sure get a heck of a lot of the stuff done during the day when you get up early in the morning. So, a couple of things I'm going to show you. I don't know how much you guys work with brushes in Lightroom, but there are some brushes that I think are essential and can really help you out and help you get things done a little bit quicker in Lightroom and kind of tweak things up. Let's pull up an image here real quick. There we are. Okay, so if you guys don't know some of these shortcuts, I'm going to show you some shortcuts too. If you want to get into your develop mode right from your library mode, you hit D, okay? D, now I'm in develop, and that's where I do everything. I'll use the library grid to kind of to cull things out. I'm gonna tag some images that I want to work on. I'll hit them with a P to tag them, or I'll hit them with a 1 or a 5 or whatever, however I want to rate them. Whatever way you use them to help you cull things down, use whatever works for you. Now, I've already gone in and tweaked this one just a little bit, adjusted the color balance, took the exposure down 1/10 of a stop. So those kind of things, we're not really going to get into that kind of stuff. I mean, I've got my basic preset that I put on just about every image I pull into Lightroom. And let's talk just briefly about that. You guys are aware of presets. Presets are all over here on the left. Take a look at all the different presets. From here on down, these are all of my presets. And these are all things that I created to make me a little quicker. So there's different kinds of black and whites, there's different kinds of cool effects, and we'll show a couple of those too. And they even give you the recipe if we can zoom in close enough, we can get the recipe for these. Because I'm not here to like sell you guys presets. You can get presets anywhere, and I probably will put mine on the site. I just need to update them to Lightroom 6. I'm working in Lightroom 5 right now. Why am I working in Lightroom 5? I'll tell you. First of all, I don't adopt the brand new Lightrooms right away because they have a tendency to be really buggy right away. So I usually wait till version 2, version 3, version 4 before I adopt a new Lightroom version. And the other thing is I use something called RPG speed keys when I'm editing weddings, and that's a big keypad that hooks into my computer, and then I can very, very quickly edit things. Problem is RPG speed keys does not work with Lightroom 6 on the PC. So I'm staying in 5 for right now. My other workstation where I don't use RPG speed keys, I'm on Lightroom 6. So anyway, just want to explain that. It's not like I'm behind in technology. I'm just trying to get all my technology to work together, which is probably more important than anything. Going all the way back though, when I import anything into Lightroom, I always apply a preset to it. I'll at least adjust. I'll at least adjust a little bit of contrast. You know, all this stuff over here. I want to hit it with what my basic look is. That I like to start with an image. It saves me a step, so I do that on input. I've got preset called Wedding 2016. And that it hits it with a little bit of contrast. It pops up the clarity just a little bit, pops up the saturation, whatever. All the different looks I like to start as a base image. I can go in and obviously adjust from there if I want to. I'll go in and I'll adjust the temperature, I'll adjust the tint, exposure, whatever, highlights if I got to pull them down. But I want to get my base image really close to where I like to start right away. So I hit it with a preset when I import that in. Now, what I'm going to show you here, though, is just start to look at a few things like brushes. So we're going to come into real tight on her. And guys, like in Photoshop, if you're going to work tight with something, or if you're going to work with a brush, get in there tight, okay? Now, actually, before I even get into brushes, if I see some larger kind of blemishes, I'm going to get in there. I'm going to reset this real quick. There we go. I got some larger blemishes going on in here. I'm just going to go in and fix them. Okay. And I'm going to use the heel brush, which is, let's see about turning this over. See this over here? Here's your heel. You got heel and clone. I prefer heel for this kind of stuff. I'm going to go in and just hit some of these real quick. Make sure they're looking good. Why? Because I'm already in here working tight. It's just a little bit more efficient this way. Come in and scroll around. Anything else? Got something up here. Get rid of that. Can I do this in Photoshop? Yeah, I can. But you know what? I'm already zoomed in tight here in Lightroom. Why not fix it here? Somebody's asking, am I on catch.me so you can watch this later? No, I'm not, but this replay will be up for 24 hours, but even more importantly, I'm going to have this on michaelmowbray.com. Later in the week, usually about Wednesday or Thursday, I get a chance to upload this to YouTube, to my YouTube channel, which is Michael Mowbray 1 on YouTube, the number 1. And then I'll also put it and embed it into a post on my website at Michael Mowbray. So, taking a look at some of this stuff. So again, because we're working in here tight, we want to, take advantage of the fact that we're already in tight and get some of these other things done. So I'm just going to close that because I like what's going on there. Awesome. Okay. Let's go into the brush tool. There's a lot of things we can do in the brush tool. We can go in and do some sharpness. We can do basically all of your major adjustments that you can do in Lightroom. You can do as a brush tool too. And then also I have some custom brushes built down here. I have teeth whitening. I've got burn and dodge. I've got iris enhance. And that's what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do the iris enhance. And actually before I do that, I'm going to reset all my brushes here. And let's do a new one. Let's do iris enhance. So I've gone in and played with this a little bit earlier. So all iris enhance does, and I'm just going to pan over here, is it takes your exposure up a little bit, it brings your clarity up, it brings your saturation up a bit, okay? And what it does is it just pops that iris a bit. So let's come back here, and we're just going to come in and hit that a little bit. There we go. Boom. Okay? Just gives the eyes a little bit of pop. Now, you've got to be careful with eyes because you can overdo eyes really quick. But I like this because it's just a little bit more subtle pop. Other thing I see now that I'm in here tight on the eyes is I shot this at f2.0. Part of the reason I shot this at f2.0 is we're out in front of this convention center. I shot this in Waco, and behind our subject here were all kinds of election signs because it was Tuesday. It was like the primary election day in Texas. So they had all kinds of signs back there. The street was back there. There was cars. There was a hotel and stuff back there. And I wanted to show how you could take somebody in actually pretty bad light in a pretty bad location and then add light. So I was using the MoLight AD360 in a GoMo 36-inch octabox here out in full sun and all the stuff behind her, and then able to blur all this stuff in the background and just kind of make a nice bokeh and basically take what was really a really crappy spot and get a good portrait out of it. So that was the purpose of this portrait. But now as I get in there, I shot this at f2.0, and her eyes are just slightly off plane. She was turned just very slightly. So I'm going to go in, and I'm going to do a new brush, and I'm going to do sharpness. And I'm going to come in on this eye, on her right eye, on our left, because it's just a little softer than the other one. I can come in, I can paint a little sharpness. I can paint a little phone call coming in there. A little sharpness into the eyelashes, maybe around the edge there. A little bit into the eyebrow, because that's where you're going to see the sharpness more. And I'm not going to paint it into the right side, because I'm really trying to balance these two out so they have pretty equal sharpness. It looks like I can hit even into there a little tighter and just a little bit more sharpness. Now, if I needed more sharpness, I can come down here while I got the brush active, and I can turn it up a little bit. And as a matter of fact, I will. Now, my sharpness level is pretty even across both eyes. Okay? That's the only place I need to put sharpness. The rest of it can be a little soft. That's fine. So, iris enhance. Let's go back to that. So let's go back to the new brush. I'm just going to show you so you can build this yourself. You can create your own brushes here, guys. So, if you want to add your own brush, you can go in and create a custom brush and then add it to your whole mix of brushes. So let's go back here. See where it says Save Current Settings as New Preset? Awesome. You can do that. So I'm going to go in here and go back to Iris Enhance. And then if you want to build an Iris Enhance, here are your settings. Your exposure's up 0.69 stops. Your clarity's up 66. Your saturation is up 70. Auto mask is turned on. Okay. Your size is 6. Your feather is 100. Your flow is 10. I suppose it would help if I had this panned over here. So let's hit that again. Iris Enhance, 0.69 up on the exposure, 66 up on the clarity, 70 up on saturation. Then over here, I've got auto mask turned on. I'm at size 6. I'm at feather 100. I'm at flow 10. That size kind of is really up to you. Use your bracket keys to turn the size up and down, because you just basically want to put it on the iris. So you're going to want to adjust that. So once you do all that stuff, you can go in, you can say Save Current Settings as New Preset, and you can call it whatever you want. You want to call it your Iris Enhance, you want to call it Eye Pop, you can call it whatever you want. Now that brush is saved to your brushes. So that's cool. Now you've got yourself a new brush. We can also go in here and let's do something new. Let's go back and we'll do a dodge. And I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. And let's say we want to go in and dodge a little bit of light in here. I'm using a nice soft brush. I'm just going to come in, hit a little bit of stuff in here, hit a little bit of stuff in here, a little bit of stuff in here. Basically getting a little dodge into the mask of the face is all I'm doing. Okay. Now if I want to adjust that while I'm in here, I can turn it up. Yellow. There we go. Now we're seeing it. Starting to pop up a little bit there. There we go. Kind of helps if I pan the camera back, doesn't it? There we go. So we can hit a little bit of dodge in there. We can go and do a little burn. I like to do a little bit of that stuff. Again, since I'm already zoomed in tight on the face, might as well get some of these things done that I would maybe do later in Photoshop. I can do it here in Lightroom while it's all still part of my workflow. Zoom back out. Okay, we're looking good. You can just see some subtle differences there between left and right. We pop the eyes a little bit. Okay. We put a little bit of dodge in there. We fixed a few blemishes. Since I'm already in there tight working on the face, get some of those other things done. Okay. And doing this compare mode is down here at the bottom. YY, compare before and after. Now, let's talk a little bit more about regular developed presets. I recommend going in and just playing around with stuff. If you can see this over here, as I scroll over all these different presets, it's giving me a preview up here in the corner of what this would look like. Okay? Lots of different black and whites, lots of different treatments. Now, given what she's got on, she's a bit of a country girl. She was actually a singer on The Voice, I believe, last season, and sang country. So I want to give this a little bit more of a country vintage kind of look to it. So before I do that, I want to make a copy of what I'm working on because I like the color version here. This is something I want to show, and this is something I want to save. But I'm going to go in and hit Control in single quote, and it's going to create a virtual copy for me. What that does is just creates an additional copy that I can do other work to, and it's not going to change the original image I was just working on. And what I want to do is I want to go in here, and I'm going to put on something I call desaturally warm. And that's actually one of my most popular presets. So go from there to desaturally warm. What desaturally warm is a little bit of a brown tone, takes the saturation down overall on the image, but there's still color there. Okay, for high school seniors and actually for weddings, this sells like crazy. So let's take a quick look at what some of these settings are. I'll zoom these on just a little bit. So all we're doing is I'm taking the exposure down just a little bit. I'm taking the contrast up plus 36. So I like a little bit of contrast on this. Taking my whites down minus 10. My clarity's popped up a little bit because I like a little snap to this particular look. Vibrance is plus 2. My saturation is down minus 69. That's a lot. I've got a little bit of a custom curve going on there. And then down here is where a lot of this is really happening. Right here. I'm doing a split tone. My highlights I'm hitting with a little bit of grayish brown. The shadows I'm hitting with a little bit of warm brown. That hue is 39. The saturation is 36 on that warm brown. Over here in the highlights, the hue is 43 and the saturation is 10. So you could take that and go create your own desaturated look here. Okay? So that's kind of fun. And we've got all kinds of different we've all got kinds of different presets here that when I'm playing around and working on an image, it feels like it, has potential to do something else or be something else. If I find a mix that I like, I save it. I come over here and I save it to my presets right up here on top of the presets. You can save anything you got here. Okay? You can hit the plus and you can create your own preset. You can create your own group of presets, and that's what I've got going on here. So let's say I want to put blue suede shoes on her. I can just hit that. That's a cool look. I've got one called Blue Suede Badass that's just got more pop and more contrast to it. I can go in and put a fashion glam on it. Okay? So talk about how much time this saves me. Once I create a look that I like, I save it as a preset. I can always come back to that and work on it later. Now let's say I'm coming in here and I'm doing this fashion glam and we're blowing the highlights out too much. I can still come back in here and adjust. I can pull my highlights down a little bit. I can pull my whites down a little bit. Okay? Bingo bango. Man, I dig that. You know what? I'm going to let that be. I'm going to save that. I like that a lot. So any of these presets, you come in here, you can just change. You basically get your develop settings right where you want them or really darn close, and then you can tweak them a little bit because every image is different. So that one's cool. I'm digging that one. That actually might be one I'm going to show her. Okay? Cool. Like that. Okay. So getting into your brushes, getting into your heel brush, incorporate that into your Lightroom workflow because it's going to be a little quicker. I'm going to go into here. Let's say let's take her back as a matter of fact. Let's go boom, 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 boom. All right. Over here in the Radial Filter, and say you wanted to pop a little bit more light just into her face. Another quick way of doing that is coming into the Radial Filter. I'm just going to pan you over here. Radial Filter is over here. I can draw a selection on her face. I can invert the mask, and then I can just draw. Okay, you can see how that's going. I can just pull the light up a little bit. Right now it's in dodge mode. I'm going to go over to exposure and do this. Okay. So, you're familiar with the term fix it in Photoshop, which I hate because I want to get it right in camera. And actually, I think this is right in camera. Let's say you had an image here where you just needed a little bit more fill. This is one way you can do it. You can use your Radial Filter over here. You can draw a selection on the face. You want to, as you can show down here, invert that mask and then pull your exposure up a little bit. Let's just overdo it. You can kind of see what's happening here. It's not affecting that background. It's just affecting the selection. I also make sure that I've got a really strong feather on this. Okay, I'm at 99, so you aren't seeing a hard line there. You know, if we took this down to 0, okay, you see that? Yuck. Okay, take this back up to 99 or 100. And then it's a more gradual transition. So that's another way you can go in and you can pop light in certain areas or take the light down in other areas. So we can work this the other way. We can go like this, and we could darken everything if we wanted to. It's just a matter of which way you want to invert that mask to get exactly what you want. Now I'm going to reset this because I really didn't need to do it on this image, but just another tool for you to use to make things a little quicker for you to edit in Lightroom and get things a lot closer to where you want them to be before you go to Photoshop. Okay, let me show you guys another kind of cool trick. Let's see, let's grab this one. All right, here we go. Thank you for the hearts. Original image here. Kind of grabbed on the fly, and I am notorious for not getting my horizon straight. So a tool that a lot of people aren't aware of is you can go down into your lens corrections, right down here, and you can click on manual. And manual will allow you to rotate the image. You can click over here where it says constrain crop. Boom, boom, boom. Constrain crop. You can fix the vertical distortion. Maybe I want to tip her back towards me just a little bit. Okay. You can fix your horizontal distortion. Basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to square up this image as best as we can and get things as close as possible. And we're just going to work things back and forth here. That's too far. And you basically work with your rotate and your vertical and your horizontal to kind of get that image exactly where you want it to be. And I'm just going to go fine. I've already pre-done one here. Hang on. So I got this to where I want it to be. I went up into crop. I also cropped to try to get balance here on the left and balance here on the right. So I got the image pretty good. I like that. So again, I'm going to go in and I'm going to take this a little bit further because I feel like this one will look really cool with a kind of a texture effect. Now, typically you have to take things into Photoshop to do a texture effect. In Lightroom, let's go over here to this menu. If you've installed any plugins like Topaz or Nik Color Effects Pro or Imaginomic Portraiture, make sure you're installing them for Lightroom as well, because you know what? You go to Photo, Edit in, and hey, look what I got in here. I got texture effects. I got Imaginomic Portraiture. This Fusion Express 2 is Topaz Adjust. Color Effects Pro. I can go into any of those and work with them right in Lightroom. So I'm going to go to Topaz Texture Effects, which if you're not familiar with, it's a fairly new Topaz plugin that is actually pretty cool. I mean, I do a fair amount of texture effects on my own, and this is actually a little quicker for me. I'm going to edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments because I want to save the Lightroom adjustments to this image, and it's going to basically create a TIFF and take this into Topaz texture effects. All right. If you can see over here to the right, it's preloading a bunch of different looks already. And I can kind of scan through and see, okay, what do I like in here? Is there anything I dig? The other thing that's kind of cool is, those are the featured ones. I can go and say, oh, I want gritty grunge. So it's going to give me, ooh, that one's actually kind of cool. You guys like that one? I'm kind of digging that one. That's kind of cool. What else we got here? Distressed grunge. That's kind of cool too. Anything you put on here, though, Let's go Imperial Ash. I like that as well. Let's go back up here to the top one. This is where, you can get lost in this stuff really quickly. You end up playing a little bit too long, but man, this is kind of fun. Now, once I go in here, I can adjust any of this stuff. I'm just waiting for the dialog to open. Okay. I can go in and adjust brightness, shadow, highlight, clarity, saturation, all that kind of stuff. I can adjust the borders. I can pick a new border. I can adjust the texture. Let's say one really important thing. Let's say I don't like how the texture is hitting on her skin. I can go in and brush it off. So I can go in here with a soft brush. Take the brush size down. Hang on. And work right in here. I'm just doing this kind of quick and sloppy, but you kind of get the idea. And I can brush some of that texture off the skin, because that's one of the biggest problems when we're doing texture screens on images, is that it doesn't look right on the face. It doesn't look right on the skin. It looks like they got leprosy, which I found out in Texas, armadillos carry leprosy too. So another thing that can kill you. Anyway, all we have up here is the cold. It also gives you a preview over here of what you're masking off. So let's say you don't like the color of the mask, or you can change your blending mode. Right now it's a multiply. You can go to overlay. What's that going to look like? Okay, you've got all those same controls that you would have in Photoshop, but you haven't left Lightroom. Okay, you're just technically in a plugin that's part of Lightroom. So once I'm done with that, I can go back in and click OK. And guess what? It's going to take me right back to my Lightroom workflow. And now I've got another sample of this image that I can present to the client. I can show them the standard one, and then I can also show them the kind of the cool creative one. So there's all kinds of things you can do with these plugins. Just be aware that, yes, you can add these plugins into Lightroom. Almost all the new plugins, especially from Topaz, figures, look at that. Yes. Usually when you're talking something up, that, especially when you're doing it live, it crashes. So that's the first time I've had that crash. Crazy. But anyway, it did save it. Look at that. I'm back into Lightroom, and it saved what I had there, but the program crashed. So, hey, as long as it saved what I had, that's all I care about. And even here, I could go back into Lightroom. If I wanted to make some further adjustments to this, I could do some things in here, because now I'm so back into my Lightroom workflow. I can go back to my grid, and I can pick other images here that I want to work with. So I guess overriding here, the tips are stay in Lightroom as long as you can, as long as it's efficient, and find ways to be efficient and use the tools that are in Lightroom, and save Photoshop for the tough stuff. Photoshop would be for some really finite retouching, some difficult hair removal, things like that. Liquify and all those things that Photoshop's great for that you can't do in Lightroom. But things like dodging and burning, you can do in Lightroom. Some of the blemish fixes, you can do in Lightroom. Popping in a little bit of fill light, you can do that in Lightroom. Things like Topaz and Nick color effects and things like that, plugins, you can do that stuff in Lightroom too. It just makes you a little bit more efficient, ideally makes you more creative and efficient at the same time, being able to work those things together. So, anywho, ooh, hello. So, thanks for joining me again, guys. In case I know we went a little bit longer today because we had a little bit more detail and stuff to talk about with Lightroom. Catch the replay if you missed some of that stuff, because that way you can just kind of watch it back and forth if you miss some of those details. If you need something explained more, go ahead and message me. Thanks, I appreciate that. I'm glad I could help out. And we'll be live again next Monday. We'll be around for a while before I'm traveling again. So I'm glad to be back, and we'll blow your mind with something else. Thanks for tuning in. And again, you can watch this on michaelmowbray.com. A little bit later this week, we'll have it embedded, and I'll probably have some of those presets explained and kind of mapped out for you too if you need to try to do them on your own. Talk to you soon. Thanks.